The general manager meetings set the groundwork for what the winter meetings and what all the free agency is going to look like. Those meetings start Monday morning, featuring our very own Carter Hawkins. He's going to be laying the groundwork for what the Chicago Cubs look to accomplish this year in free agency. Let's talk about it. All right. Appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. This is your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, and a happy Sunday/Monday to you all. If you're watching this on Sunday, hey, listen, enjoy that Bears win, baby. If you're watching this on Monday, happy Victory Monday. Yes, sir. All right. So with that being said, hopefully our very own Carter Hawkins can begin the winter meetings and laying some groundwork and getting an idea of what the Chicago Cubs are up against this year if they want to become a better team. Listen, by no stretch of the imagination can the Chicago Cubs stay the same. And for what it's worth, the general manager meetings usually are where the groundwork for trades, for deals, and for free agency begins to start being laid. So these meetings are just as important as the winter meetings where some deals get completed, or throughout the time period after Christmas where things really start heating up and picking up, where deals are really completed. Chicago Cubs have a lot of work to get done, and I have the top 5 stories for you that the Chicago Cubs have heading into those general manager meetings, and Carter Hawkins has to get this stuff figured out. I want you guys to give your opinions on these stories. Let me know. Some of the stuff I've pretty much already covered. I won't spend too much time on it, but others of it, like I said, is still brand new stuff that I may not have touched on yet. So, number one story that they're talking about for Carter Hawkins is there a chance Shota Imanaga stays in Chicago? Listen, we talked about the series of decisions that were made over the last past few weeks, where Shota Imanaga and the Chicago Cubs both declined their options in his contract. So he technically is a free agent. Then the Chicago Cubs offered him last week a qualifying offer. He has till November 18th. If a deal is not done by then he will have to pick up that $22.25 million qualifying offer and accept it. So Shota Imanaga, the clock is ticking for you. Now, the latest on that is that Shota and his team do want to see what other options might be available. Like I said, he has until November 18th to find his own deal. So we're looking at basically about a week. Next week, on November 18th, Shota Imanaga has to have a deal in place. Otherwise, he will have to accept the qualifying offer that the Chicago Cubs gave to him. Now, listen, Shota and his team want to use these general manager meetings as a way to gauge if there is another deal out there for him, something that could be worth a few more years or a few more dollars. Again, players like stability, teams like flexibility. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. There has to be a happy medium in between. There's a reason why the Chicago Cubs put those options and clauses into Shota Imanaga's contract, and they exercise them, and rightfully so. Shota and his team put those same clauses and options in his contract as well. They negotiated for them, and they used them. So you can't blame either side. Shota Imanaga literally did not have a great 2025. He had an okay 2025 season. And again, I do still think there's a lot more left in the tank. Teams rumored to be interested in Shota Imanaga include the Angels, the Giants, potentially the Dodgers, and potentially the New York Mets. All teams that we have seen might have, and the Yankees are on there too. All teams that we have seen that might have interest in Shota Imanaga for this coming season. Carter Hawkins has to figure out and gauge what those teams are looking at for Shota, and then the Cubs have to engage in, is it worth keeping Shota? Is it worth maybe offering him a better deal? If somebody like, let's say, the Los Angeles Angels come and say, hey, Shota, we'll give you 3 years, for this amount of money, for $60 million or something like that, 20 a piece each year. There's teams out there that has money to spend. The Giants are also going to be looking for pitching. So, and Shota, being a Japanese player, would love to be able to be on the West Coast just because it's so close to home, closer than playing in Chicago. But also, like I said, his family members being able to stay up and watch his games. So all big important parts. Not saying Shota's going anywhere. It very well, like I said, this all very well could be for not. He very well could be with the Chicago Cubs. Like I said, we'll see. He's going to negotiate with Chicago probably to figure out if they could restructure his contract and his deal. I want to ask you guys, should the Chicago Cubs keep Shota Imanaga? Should they restructure his deal? Should they make something work for Shota? Or should they just say adios? Like I said, I mean, the Chicago Cubs are in play for a lot of pitchers. I've listed off, I did an episode last week where I listed off all the different pitchers that reportedly the Chicago Cubs are interested in or have shown interest in or could make a fit for the Chicago Cubs or just make sense for their roster. Along with those, I forgot to admit, Shota Imanaga still fits with this team. I mean, he was primarily between him, PCA, and Kyle Tucker, probably the faces of the Chicago Cubs this season. So when you look at it, I mean, you have to understand and realize Chicago Cubs do value Shota Imanaga a lot. So I don't know that, they're just going to let him walk for nothing. Now, obviously, if he gets some outrageous offer from some team, like I said, that's offering him 5 or 6 years, 140, 160 million. More power to you, Shota. Go make that money, brother. Like I said, do what you got to do. But as far as the Chicago Cubs go, I mean, like I said, you're an okay pitcher in a big market, like I said, that has a likable face, a likable attitude, and you play with a lot of grit, and the city embraced you and you embrace the city. I love Shota Imanaga, like I said, but if we're gonna talk, can we win a World Series with Shota? I don't know if we can win a World Series with him being your third or fourth best starter, maybe your fifth best. And again, Shota's team, what's coming out of his camp is it's literally all that was due to injury. So don't take any of it seriously. So we'll have to see what happens. Those are all stories wrapped around Shota Imanaga. The big story next, number 2, your big second point, is a reunion with Kyle Tucker realistic? Listen, while Imanaga's qualifying offer situation is a little more layered, Tucker declining the 1-year offer he received looks like a no-brainer, guys. Like I said, we know Kyle Tucker wants more than just that qualifying offer of $22 million. And we've talked about that already on a previous episode. Tucker is arguably the top offensive player on the free agent market this winter, and he is likely to command a lucrative long-term deal. By offering Tucker and Imanaga the qualifying offer, the Cubs can at least garner draft pick compensation if they decline and they do end up signing with a different team. So while the Cubs are expected to engage Tucker's team on the possibility of extending his time in Chicago, I think everybody is pretty much under the impression that Kyle Tucker is as good as gone. I think all the Cubs fans have all but not like kicked Kyle Tucker out the door, and a lot of them are thankful to God they didn't buy his Cubs jersey, because that was a very, very, very very short stay, if we'll have you. But again, the Chicago Cubs do need offense, and they got to figure out a way to improve their offense. And 2 of those players could be Alex Bregman or Murakami, who has been posted and will be coming over from Japan to play this year. Those are both intriguing fits for the Chicago Cubs. What's even more intriguing is both those dudes are third basemen. One's a first/third baseman. The other one's a straight up third baseman. That tells you a lot about what teams believe about Matt Shaw. Like I have so many people in my comments that are so bullheaded on Matt Shaw and the fact that we have to keep Matt Shaw and we have to give Matt Shaw a chance. Matt Shaw is going to come through. Matt Shaw is going to be this. Matt Shaw is going to be that. Matt Shaw had an abysmal playoffs. And honestly, and I hate to even equate the two because I'm not even trying to do the politic thing. But honestly, in my humble opinion, I'm going to say something that a lot of people may agree with, may not agree with. Matt Shaw was ass ever since they killed his friend. Ever since his friend was assassinated. And I don't know if the two correlate or what have you. But man, he was horrible after that. Like I said, so I don't know. I don't know if the two have anything to do with each other. I've never spoken to Matt Shaw a day in my life to know if they do or don't. But his play on the field declined, and that's what I'm worried about. So like I said, the Chicago Cubs have to figure out a way how to garner up that offense if you are going to lose Kyle Tucker, and you need pieces around Seiya Suzuki and around PCA and around Nico Horner that can get the job done. And looking at Alex Bregman, he is one of those pieces. Now, from there, number 3. How will the Cubs address the rotation? That's right. The Cubs needed to add to their rotation even before the decision to allow Imanaga to reach free agency. One way would be to look into the free agent market. Like I told you guys before, I did that episode last week. Go check that out if you haven't. Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, and Michael King are all obviously top options. And then, of course, the Japanese star Amai would also be interesting fit when he is posted by the Lions. So the Cubs could also explore trade too. I hate even talking about this. I feel like I wasted so much time last year talking about the Cubs' potential of trading for Sandy Alcantara. I don't think it's going to happen. There's also Edward Cabrera for the Marlins. Mackenzie Gore for the Nationals, all 3 names that we talked during the trade deadline of last year. And then, of course, there's Joe Ryan that has been brought up from the Minnesota Twins, too. All pieces that the Chicago Cubs really can start laying the groundwork for during these GM meetings. So you have to address your rotation. But even more important than the rotation, you lost everybody from your bullpen. Everybody from your bullpen is a free agent or you traded. So the bulk of the Cubs' late inning group down the stretch last season are no longer in the fold. Andrew Kittredge was traded back to Baltimore, while Brad Keller, Caleb Thielbar, Andrew Pomerantz all hit free agency. So targeting big-name relievers via multi-year offers is not usually the Cubs' forte of doing things. Remember, last year, what they tried to do when they tried to get Tanner Scott, but they were unwilling to be outbid by the Dodgers. And I don't think Tanner Scott had that great of a year last year. So you almost kind of dodged the bullet. Thanks, Dodgers. But expect Chicago's front office to look to continue to find short-term value signings, small trades, or reclamation projects. And they're going to use all of that as an opportunity to try to build something of a bullpen. So again, and I've told you guys this before, what the bullpen looks like at the beginning of the season might not necessarily be what the bullpen looks like at the end of the season. And we saw that firsthand last year. So with that being said, man, listen, albeit I do expect the Chicago Cubs to make an offer to Brad Keller. I do expect them to bring him back. They might even talk to Caleb Thielbar and try to bring him back. We'll just have to see what happens with that. But that's another story. And now your 5th and final story heading into the GM meetings in Las Vegas on Monday. Will Cade Horton win the NL Rookie of the Year? So again, not only do the GM meetings begin on Monday, but that is also the night the Baseball Writers Association of America starts rolling out its annual awards. So first up will be the Rookie of the Year honorees. And guys, Horton is a finalist for this in the National League. He's up against Drake Baldwin from the Braves and Caleb Duran from the Brewers. So with the winner announced on the MLB Network at 6 p.m. Central Time on Monday night, I am very curious to see if Cade Horton will get the shaft like PCA did when it came to the Platinum Glove Award. I think that Rawlings made a mistake when they gave that award to Fernando Tatis Jr., even though he robbed guys of home runs. I mean, when you look at Platinum Glove, it's not just about robbing people of home runs. You got to look at the fact that of what he did all season long, how he basically was a mainstay all season long in center field and was a black hole, as I like to call him, refer to him in center field, where literally nothing got past that man. Nothing. It did not matter. Like I said, he made pretty much every single play out there that you could make. His WAR was amazing last year. So, I mean, like I said, when you look at it, you have to understand that I just believe PCA was the man. Now, Cade has a case also for being the National League Rookie of the Year. The two players he's going up against also were pretty good, but Cade literally was the anchor of the Chicago Cubs defense and pitching for a good portion of the season. And he was somebody that came in as a rookie and just immediately delivered. So in my eyes, I think Cade should win it. I hope Cade wins it, but there is no guarantee that Cade is going to win it. We'll just have to see what happens, man. But listen, that's my time for today. I appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in to this episode. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, y'all, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.